Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, clients and prospects, welcome to today's program. My name is Warren Stokes. I'm going to be your host and presenter today. We've got a lot of great topics to cover, and my main intent is to make this presentation be a very useful kind of training tool if you're an existing client. And if you're just considering Prophet, it'll be a great overview of the capabilities of Prophet and how to unlock more power from Microsoft Outlook. So the main topics are, and we're going to move fairly quickly here. The video will be recorded though, so you can access it later, and I'll share that at the end of the webinar here. But we're going to definitely dive into some of the key concepts of contact management and account management. We'll be covering what I call the 7 secrets of sales pipeline management and how to get useful information out of Prophet in the way of reporting and analytics. I'm going to give you a very brief overview. I've spent a few minutes just kind of talking about a little bit about us, first of all, and then kind of overview of the topics. Then we're going to spend most of the time actually demonstrating and showing you how all this stuff works. But our company is called Avidian, and we've been delivering this solution since 2002, so quite a while. We're a Microsoft Gold development partner headquartered in Washington State in the USA. One unique thing about us is we are the developers. We market the product, we sell it, we implement it, and we provide all the ongoing support. I've been with the company most of that time. I've helped many, many companies basically grow their business with Prophet. I really enjoy it. I literally think this is one of the most fun things I've ever done. I hold a couple of US patents and have another one pending in sales automation. And I've got a lot of YouTube viewers. Actually, it's up to about 1.3 million views, I think, right now. And you can ask questions through the Q&A, the chat feature. Although given the size of the audience today, which is right around 100 or so, and I think that was the cutoff, was 100 participants today. Feel free to put your chat questions in the control panel, and we will follow up with you after the webinar. So one of the concepts of Prophet CRM is just being able to answer basic questions about your business. You know, who's generating what kind of activity, which client saw the most, or maybe the least of activity. All right, I think I better switch my views here. Thank you for that. Let's go and change my video here. Give me 1 second on that. Yes, thank you for that. Here we go. So now you see the full screen. Thanks for that tip. But anyway, we'll be looking at how Prophet can help, track new business. Maybe you're tracking KPIs or goals. How long is your sales cycle? That's an important thing. Help you predict when the income might be arriving. And again, forecasting your revenues. What kind of lead conversion rates do you have? Maybe you want to track that and learn how to improve it. How many activities does it take to close a deal? Those are all the kind of things that you might get out of this as some of the reporting and analytics. And here's the thing, though. I often say CRM would be an easy thing, except for one big thing: data. And data is really the key of it all. One of the concepts here is just taking raw data and organizing it into useful information. From that, you can start to extract knowledge and useful insight. And at the end of the day, we hope to be able to, and we'll show you how to get actionable insight from the data that you capture in your CRM. Key part of it. And towards the end of this, we'll be looking at the whole transformation into analytics and reporting. But getting data into Prophet is actually pretty easy, and I'm going to show you demonstrations of this here momentarily. Bear with me while I go through the topics and the overview. I know I'm getting quite a few chats here, so I'll try to keep an eye on that. But you can actually just use your existing Outlook contacts. You install Prophet. If you've already a Prophet user, you probably already know that. But one of the unique things is that company records are created automatically when you create a contact in Prophet. You can do drag and drop, which is an Outlook function from an inbound email to create contacts, which also creates the company. You can import data from Excel, and I'll be showing you a little bit about that. You can use that same tool to mass update records in Prophet. We also offer website form integration. That would be like leads coming in on your website. You can do it on your own. We have an open API, or you can use the Zapier platform, or we can do it for you. Very handy way to capture data. And we also have, the integration platform that would allow you to integrate with your accounting systems or ERP and things like that. Think of data, though, as contact data as one of the key types of data, because it rolls through your entire CRM database. And often, data starts with gathering contact information. But I'm often struck by how people create contacts. In some ways they're good, but there's some must-have information. So I would encourage you to think of it this way. If you're creating a contact, make sure that you get the full name, not just the first name. Nothing worse than a contact with just the name Bill or Susan in it. Almost useless. And of course, we need email addresses as a key piece of data, and phone number. If I had to identify the three things that you really need to have in a contact, those are it. But you get extra credit for things like, well, maybe I want the company name. That's actually in many businesses one of the more important things. Job title, as you'll see, you'll be able to sort and filter. By the way, when I use the term taxonomy, it's the ability to classify and categorize data by any of these criteria, like job title, location, things like that. But try to get mobile phones these days. Super important, right? In this day and age, and people are more distributed and using their mobile numbers a lot more. And a physical address is still important because we like to be able to sort and filter and classify by geography. Now, nice to have things would include such things as maybe the contact's LinkedIn profile. It's very useful. I have a LinkedIn network. I'm sure many of you do. LinkedIn, by the way, is integrated with Outlook natively these days because Microsoft bought LinkedIn. Some pretty nice integration there. If you ever want to know more about that, ping me later. And you can have custom fields in Prophet, that would capture things like hobbies, interests, birthday, things of that nature, spouse's name, pets, things of that nature. And all of this also then flows over to the company records, which I encourage you to take a look at, even if you've been using Prophet for a while, to make sure you and your people are capturing the full company name, the phone number of the company, maybe the main number. You should have a physical address. Maybe there are even, maybe you want to get the website in there, things like what industry they're in. Again, taxonomy, sort, filter, and slice and dice by key criteria. What type of company are they? Distributor? Are they a dealer? Are they an OEM? Are they a customer? Are they a prospect? Things like that. And to, icing on the cake there, maybe you want to know what size of company they are vis-a-vis the number of employees, how many locations they have, what revenue range, maybe their parent or subsidiaries, which, by the way, Prophet does have a parent company functionality to it. Opportunity is much the same way. You want to capture key information, who the people or company are that are related to the opportunity, give it a reasonable description, and any other fields that you require. And by the way, in an opportunity, you can make some fields required if you want to. I don't recommend getting carried away with that. But if you're generating revenue as part of the sales pipeline process, you want to identify how much potential revenue, estimated close date, probability, sales stage. Nice to have things would be like what industry again, so you can sort and filter by industry or company type. Where did the leads come from? Things like that. And I'm very soon I'll be jumping into the actual demonstration and kind of training section of this. But I want to give you this overview. So contact and account management is much the same, capturing the key data about your contacts and about your customers or even vendors, if that's what you're using it for. You can view all the opportunities you have with contacts or accounts, which is a key thing. You can set automated follow-ups so that you have good continuity with your customers. You can start managing your accounts and your contacts by your own priorities. When was the last time you talked to them? Maybe you have a rating system that might be a profit field, or ABC accounts, things like that. But one concept of contact and account management is just a simple thing. Whenever you connect with a person or a customer, just update the account record. It's super easy. You can even do it from your phone, as we'll talk about more later. And maybe you want to watch that last modified date, if it's, again, related to customer continuity, making sure you reach out and touch your customers regularly. And then you can use reporting to report on all this. And then the topic of sales pipeline management is, I think, dear to many of you, I'm sure. Capturing that key opportunity data allows you to then manage your sales pipeline. And one of the key concepts, there's a default field in Prophet called the next step. I'll show you that as we get into the demonstration. Very useful. If you always have a next step, things tend to move along. That's one of many types of automated follow-up that Prophet offers, and I'll be showing you some more workflow and sales automation. And manage your pipeline by your priorities, potential revenue amount, when they might close, things of that nature. And a pervasive concept here throughout the CRM, any CRM really, is whenever you connect with a prospect, in this case, update the opportunity. Super easy to do. I like to say, if it's not in Prophet, it didn't happen. That's kind of a rule of thumb. You can quote me on that. And again, watch your last modified date. That's the last time somebody updated the record, because leads do get cold. And let's see here. I'm going to take a quick look at my chat control panel here, see if we're, all right, there you are. All right, so let's do this. I'm just going to jump into the actual demonstration portion for the rest of this this session here. And we'll cover all of this in some detail, because I know you're all dying to really get into the meat of it here, the training part of it. So as you already know, perhaps Prophet lives in Outlook. If you're an existing Prophet user, you definitely know this. I wanted to call out a few basic navigational functions and so forth, though. One of them is the Prophet ribbon. I could be in any Outlook window, and you'll see the Prophet ribbon. And you'll see, I'm going to start using this little circular highlighting function here to show you where I'm at. All of these functions along the top are what are called ribbon functions. And when you have Prophet, you'll have a Prophet ribbon, and it has a number of things that you can do. For example, I could open a record, like an opportunity record from my appointments or from my calendar with a click. That's one of the Prophet tools that allows you to just kind of look at connected data. So again, Prophet lives in Outlook, and you'll be able to then access Prophet whether you're in your calendar. There's the opportunity associated with the task there, or whether you're in your email, or in one of the Prophet folders. So let's jump into that. Prophet is organized into a set of folders. If you're a Prophet user, you know this, but I do want to point out that you can do a couple of things with your folders. You can rename them. To rename the folder, you call it maybe something, you want to call this your lead tracker. You just right click, and you see in here, rename folder. Let's say I wanted to call that my lead tracker. I can just literally rename it. Lead tracker. Simple little concept, but not everyone knows about it. And now that's called my lead tracker. If I want to get into the CRM from there, I just click on that folder. Now, the little arrows that I've put in here are simply part of the renaming. They're little dashes and an arrow that I just put in to kind of make the folders stand out. Another concept or another technique of getting those at the top of your list, as within any folder, you can highlight it down below here, and you can right click and say add or remove from favorites. In this case, it's already a favorite. But you can see how you can add or remove them from your favorites. And that just puts them at the very top of your folder list. Pretty handy little function. But in any event, let's get into the creation of data here, because I think that's one of the key things that people do struggle with. How do you create contacts, for example, and or companies or opportunities? Well, let's start by looking at how you can do it very simply from an inbound email. You get emails all the time, I'm sure you do, and you can actually create. I'm going to show you the first part of this is an Outlook function. I'm going to grab that contact by just clicking on it with my cursor and holding the left mouse key down. I'm going to drag it over my people folder down here and let go. That's a drag and drop function. It's just an Outlook function. Now, Prophet actually has a unique thing that's a duplicate checker built into that drag and drop function that'll help you prevent creating duplicates of contacts. So again, I'm going to do that again a little slower. Grab the email, drag it over my people folder, let go. And if there's a matching contact by name and or email address, it's going to display that contact here, alerting me that I already have a contact named Anthony Hopkins with that email address or something similar. Now, in the case here, I can actually with a glance see, you know what, I don't want to create a new contact. Anthony already exists in my database, so I can just open it. Now, if Anthony did not exist in my database, or there were two Anthonys, by the same name, you could go ahead and click Create New Contact. Notice it's warning me again that a similar contact already exists. And by default, Outlook and Prophet will put in the first name, last name, and email address. But notice a lot of times in an email, you'll have somebody's signature. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm just going to highlight the company name here and drag it up to the company field. I'm going to highlight the address. I'm going to right here. I'm going to drag it over to the address field, title, and so on. So this is a very useful little function to help build an Outlook contact card. And from there, I could maybe create an opportunity. So again, I did a drag and drop, or in this case, created a new contact, and then from that contact, I can then create an opportunity. So let's say I've created a contact. I'll have it open here, and I want to create an opportunity record with this contact. Real easy. Prophet has a ribbon up here, again, in all Outlook forms or records. And one of the things is to do the create a record, which depends on your department function. In sales, it's usually called an opportunity or a lead. So I click create, and this will create a new opportunity with that contact. Now, what it's going to do is going to also associate that contact to this opportunity. And now I have a new opportunity, which will be part of our sales pipeline. All right, and I'm just going to call this one a training example here. This is your description. This might be new contract with government or something, whatever it is. There's a little spell checker built into it, fortunately for me, right? And you would then fill out that basic information we talked about. By default, it'll start in your first stage. Now, a key concept of sales pipeline and opportunity management is the creation of these stages. If you've used Prophet for a while, I'm sure they've already been created for you. But you want to identify where you are. I'll give you some tips on that. Whatever you might call lead or prospect or stage one, make it descriptive. I'm qualifying. We're sent a proposal. We're negotiating. We're waiting for payment, or what have you. And those stages then help you identify where you're at in your sales process. And all of these labels and fields are customizable, by the way. Your admin would have to do it if you're an existing Prophet user. You can put a probability, give it an estimated close date, potential revenue. These are those things we talked about earlier. And all of these things will basically combine to make your opportunity in your sales pipeline. We use sales regions as one of the fields. Competition, there's a little memo field here. So these fields can be date fields, drop-down list, simple text fields, or memo fields, which are just an expanded text field. So the other kind of information you might want to capture is, where did this lead come from? Was it a cold call, a website lead, or what have you? And then you might want to add some additional information. What kind of sale is it? How many, whatever it is, widgets might they buy? There's also a whole products and services area here. I'm not going to get deep into that. And now I'm ready to start tracking this as a sales opportunity. And I'll show you one of the most important things that, if you get nothing else out of this webinar, I hope you remember this. And that is that if I go in here to my next step and I want to create an action, I can just say send quote, or whatever that next step is. You can see where I'm at here. This is a default field. And one of the very useful things is a next step date. Notice when I select the date, it's going to ask me if I want to create an Outlook reminder, which I will do, and especially for the sake of this training session or webinar here. And I'm going to give it, a due date and a due time. Now that created a task that's viewable in Prophet in the task summary down below in this row of tabs that I'm showing you. But as you'll see, in addition to creating it in Prophet, which you can see here, that's also been created on my Outlook calendar, and you can see it right over here. Awesome, because there's a concept of, I'm going to share a little Outlook concept with y'all. Very important here. I get this question a lot. And the question is, why do you have tasks and calendar items? If I want to do something, I put it on my calendar. Well, here's why, by the way. This is an Outlook concept. The calendar is to block off time for things. Like today, I'm doing this webinar. I had a meeting with a client. I've got some follow-up, some things to do. It creates time for you to do it, blocks off time. Now, the task list is your list of to-do items, which will be organized by date if you put dates in them. But the important thing is if I go to next week sometime, I can still see my tasks. And by the way, they turn red if they're behind the date that you put in there. A little business and organizational tip for you all is this. If you got a lot of things turning red, you're getting a little behind. You might want to catch up. Little business tip there. All right. I've got a couple questions and I'll field them as I go as I can. Well, that's interesting. Somebody doesn't have the next step field. Well, that's your administrator of profit. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble or anything, but that next step is actually got some magical properties to it. So you might want to consider using that as the next step. They can just relabel it next step, by the way. If they need other fields, perhaps they can take what they've used there and move them into one of these other, about 100 customizable fields, by the way. Hey, if you don't use them all, you can leave them blank. You don't need to clutter it up. Anyway, that next step field is just super awesome because imagine, let's say you're in sales. If you always have identified the next step, especially with every opportunity or customer, don't you think you'd move things along better? Of course you would. And another question is, can you have more than one opportunity folder? I'm just going to answer that question here briefly. The answer is yes, but they're folders within folders or views within a folder. So you have your master folder of opportunities or whatever you're tracking, and then you have views within them. These are like a folder. Like I have a view for my cold prospecting. I have a sort of a folder, actually a list of the deals that I'm closing this month. I have all these different views here. I go into what I call my Hollywood projects. These are my demonstration opportunity sales pipeline. So it's really literally one folder, but there's lists within it. Hopefully that helped you out. And don't mind answering those questions as we go. But let's continue with this opportunity, because opportunity management is where the money comes from in most businesses. Now, if you're in a business that's just simple account management, you call on the same people and it's all relationship based. We'll get to that in the account management part of this here shortly. But we've captured some key data, like where the lead came from, what type of sale is it, the revenue, estimated close date. But did you know you really only need 4 key pieces of data to forecast your pipeline? I'll tell you what those are from my experience. Probability, estimated close date, revenue, and the stage that they're in. And all of these other things are icing on the cake, and you will actually be able to produce a forecast that is based on those 4 fields. And when we get to reporting, I will be sure to show you that. So capturing data and keeping things updated as best you can is one key thing, and always setting the next step is a little magical touch to it all. Now, down below is where you track things. There's a whole there's tabs of tracking things. Here's my tracking history, here's my notes. But one of the key concepts of Prophet that you may know about is these automated note entries or predefined entries. The benefit of this is I don't have to type it in. So you can talk to your Prophet administrator, or if you're considering Prophet, you can set it up however you like. You know, I made a cold call, I did an outreach, I did a quote follow-up, I left a voicemail. If these are recurring activities, why would you have to type them in every time? Well, you don't. The time, the date, the user's name, and the activities just logged in there, and they become part of the history. All of these things are reportable as well. And again, when we get to reports, I'll be sure you show you the activity entry report. And if you put any notes in here, those notes can be reported upon too. Like I could just put in a note that says we discussed the new quote or something like that. And a little spell checker never hurts. You know, one of the things I do a lot is I dictate these notes in through Prophet mobile app. We won't have enough time to get deep into that, but when I talk about mobile, remember that you could just be sitting at your desk dictating these notes right into Prophet. It's pretty cool, actually. So now you want to give it an activity type, ideally, so that you know you had a phone call and you discussed the new quote. Simple, but awesome. And again, if it's not in Prophet, it didn't happen. At least that's what I would like you guys to think about. You know, you won't get 100% compliance to that, but I'm telling you, it's great for the whole team to see what's been going on. And if you're just looking at your own pipeline, where did you leave off? Oh, on 12/17, I discussed the quote with the client. Awesome. So let's jump over here to creating that automated follow-up I mentioned. Over here on the right, near the right in this is a tab called Workflow. This is powerful, let me tell you. If you don't already use it, I really encourage you to take a look at this. I'll just show you kind of from the cooking show approach how this works. Every stage can have its own unique set of automated follow-up. So for example, maybe in stage 1, when you first get a lead, you want to initiate contact, maybe send them an email, make follow up with a phone call, and then even set several other steps. Here's how it works. Once they're set up, and I'll show you the back end in a moment, you just click the button, which is also the label by sales stage. And what Prophet will do, it'll ask you if you want to process workflow, and I say yes. It's going to create a series of automated actions. Here is a email, here is a reminder. And so those are my first 2 actions. And that then I have 4 more touches scheduled out over the course of several weeks as kind of a drip series or a drip campaign. Let me tell you that this has made our company, just literally from using it ourselves, has made us millions and millions of dollars, and me personally a lot of money because I use it extensively. It is the best way to make sure opportunities don't fall through the cracks, guaranteed. Because what if I was out that day or that week? Well, I got another one coming. What happens here is tasks just show up in your task list in Outlook, pops up and it reminds you to do it on that future date. If it's an appointment, it's on your calendar. And if it's an email, it does get created automatically, and it pops up in a little queue of emails saying you got some of these automated emails to process. And then I could say I want to process them once all or one at a time, process, snooze, delete. And here's an email going out as a follow-up to Anthony there. Awesome. That was just an automated email, which I could edit before I send it if I want to. Bottom line is, if you start using the automated functions of Prophet, you're going to unlock some of the additional powers. If you're already using it, then you're probably already, I'm preaching to the choir on that one, huh? All right, so we basically have covered the fundamentals of capturing data, entering your notes and activities. Notice that some of the activities are automatically put in here too, and you can see those and report on those as well. But let's talk about email tracking a little bit. Throughout Prophet, you're going to have the ability to track emails in different ways. And not everyone necessarily wants to track all emails. So we give you the option of automating that or not. You can auto link emails, and in a new release we're just doing, you'll be able to extend this functionality and some automation into more other areas like accounts and contacts and such, but works the same way. This email was automatically linked because it was on one of my automated emails. And look, it's just the email that I sent to that prospect. If I sent another email, I could either send it from here and it would link automatically, or I could choose this to auto link emails, and any email to or from that client would be tracked in Prophet. It's pretty awesome. A lot of stuff done by email. Similarly, the appointments are tracked either manually or automatically. It's up to the user. If I wanted to create a new appointment with Anthony here, notice these little Outlook buttons. You'll always see these throughout Prophet. They're up at the top of each record. If I can create an email or an appointment, let's create an appointment. I'll show you what happens. I'll create an appointment that is, a pretty long appointment here, and I'll color it bright yellow, and I'd invite people to it or what have you. Now, by creating that appointment through the Prophet Outlook button, it logs it in as an appointment here in Prophet. But the nice thing is it puts it right on my Outlook calendar. So if I go to my calendar for today, you're going to see that meeting that I just created in Prophet is literally here in Outlook. There it is. And because they're connected now, even more cool is I can open that record for Anthony right from the appointment because they're connected. Pretty darn cool, I think. I've been using Prophet a long time. I got to tell you, I've used Salesforce and Act and Goldmine and Microsoft Dynamics, and frankly, this is my favorite, but I'm a little biased. I just like it because it's pretty easy if you're an Outlook user to get the hang of this. By the way, I'll just mention this. If I know we're moving fairly quickly, covering a lot of ground, I get that. Some people say I go too slow, I go too fast and whatnot, but really the main thing is we're reaching out and trying to help you all learn more about Prophet. And this has all been recorded. You can take it at your own pace. And finally, you can always reach out to our customer success team if you need more help, and I'll be posting that again at the end of the webinar. But let me move along here. So the power of automated follow-up is just pretty awesome, I think. All right. question came in while I'm on that, a couple of questions. One question, are you able to see when the client reads the email? Only if, with Prophet, it's just an Outlook email. You can get read receipts. When you send an email through Outlook, you probably already know this, or maybe you don't, you can request a read receipt, and that the recipient does have to acknowledge that they read it. But that's actually better than just some of these systems that say you get so many opens or clicks or whatever. I don't know. Basically, you can preview an email and then delete it, and looks like it's been read. So that's kind of a sort of a soft yes on that. You can do read receipt requested if you want, but it's just an Outlook email. Are there ever, here's another question, are there ever performance issues if too many emails or contacts are linked? Possibly. It does take a lot. But in general, if you work with us in your environment and you have some sort of performance issue like that, we'll help you resolve it. I've had literally thousands of emails linked to records and never had a problem. And collectively, we work with maybe over time, hundreds of thousands of records, and works pretty well. I use it every day. So I'm going to keep trying to answer those questions as we go, but in the interest of time, I'm also going to cover the agenda here, so bear with me on that. Now let me I got so many windows open here. All right. I've now in my office, I've got 3 computers and 5 monitors. Whew, I'm power using. All right. Here, I'll take another question. What the heck? Here's one. When moving between different contact opportunity managers and Outlook inbox, what would be the cause of glitching and crashes? Well, like the cause of that is if you're having issues like that, or if you do get issues like that, it should work pretty much like I'm showing you here. You click on a folder and it should bring up your lists. I will point out one thing though, and this is potentially a cause of, delays or performance issues in clicking into these folders. We do a unique thing compared to most CRMs. We let you load any size of list you want. And if you're loading a list called all contacts or all accounts and it's thousands and thousands of records, well, that can take a while to load. You just have to be patient, by the way. So that's just the way it is. Most CRMs and like just Google itself will limit you to like 25 results per page. Then you got to page through them all, which just isn't quite as nice. What if I wanted to send an email out to everybody on 150 contacts or something, right? In any event, hopefully that helped to answer your question. But again, we'll post some useful information at the end of the webinar, and reach out to us. We're always here to help. And I want to make sure that you realize that. So, okay, let's keep going here. The automated follow-up also carries through to the contact and company manager, and that's called sales automation. If, for example, I'm in my company manager folder, and while we're talking about automation, I just wanted to point out that along the bottom here, you're going to see, the general, the notes, the opportunities, the activities. One of the functions is called sales automation. By the way, you can raise and lower this functionality pane down here, little up and down arrow, or you can make it any height you like, move it around. But anyway, when I'm in sales automation, you can have templates set up that could be very different than the sales opportunity templates. These could just be simple, follow up, once a week or once a month. You might want a reminder to call them or email them, something like that. Now let me show you the back end here. This is fun. I'm going to show you the back end of the sales automation. I'm going to go into Prophet settings, which you can actually click here, or I have a little settings shortcut. It's the tools menu actually. And there's a tab here called sales automation. This is where you create and manage your templates. It's not that hard. I'll show it to you. You can get other training on it, but let's say I wanted to create an introductory email. I have one, so I'll just click edit on it. This is the one I was showing you earlier. And if you look in here, some things are in parentheses, like hello first. That will pick up their first name. The parentheses company name has to be spelled exactly alike, like the field name in Prophet, and there's some instructions that come with this. But basically, it's just from there, it's just an Outlook email that you might have sent 1,000 times. You're just putting it in our template format. To create a new one, pretty easy. As you might guess, you just click new, tell it what type, maybe an email, give it a name. All right, I'll call it a training email, maybe something like that, so I can differentiate it in my own list here. All right, and remember, you can make emails, tasks, or appointments automated, and I'm going to create a training email. I'll show you a couple of cool things. So here's those instructions I was talking about. Whenever you create a new one, the instructions are right there. I happen to know what they are, so I'll just delete them all. Now I'm going to create the content of this email. So I might say hello, and then I just go first. That would pick up the first name of the contact, put a comma in there, which is how I like to do it. And I'll put in here in the, you don't put anything in the to or CC, but you can put a subject line in, maybe info about our products for, and this is where I put in company name spelled like that. So that's how you would create the basic template. The content is just, you can type it up like you're just typing an email. You could copy and paste things in here, or you might want to use one of the functions of Outlook, which is a templating function called Quick Parts. So watch what happens here. Many of you probably already know this, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. If I start typing in an email and it's my thanks for your interest email, ooh, look at that. It's predicting that I might want to use a template. I hit enter, and the rest of it all just automatically appears into my content here. You can use this just with any email, but templates as well. In case you're wondering how that worked, I'll just show it to you briefly. It's an Outlook function, and it's called Quick Parts. If I wanted to insert one of those templates, I go to the ribbon up on top, insert, and I go to Quick Parts, and here's my library of already created Quick Parts. I could choose from my menu just visually there. There's another one. Or I can use the keyword. It's the name of the quick part as a shortcut. Pretty awesome, huh? What if I wanted to create some content and make it a quick part? Okay, and let's just say it's this block right here of some content that I wanted to, I want to save that as a quick part. How do you do it? Highlight it, go up to your ribbon, insert, quick part, and say save to the quick selection to quick part gallery. And I will call this example here is the keyword. Now I'm going to delete all this, and I'll just show you one more time. A lot of people like this and get a lot out of this. So I'm going to just start over. And let's say I had nothing in my email yet, but I start typing in the word training. And look, it's predicting I want that little block of training content. Sweet. Anyway, all that is in addition to just showing you how to create your Outlook templates here for workflow and sales automation. The templates are the same, whether they're for contacts, companies, or opportunity management. How you assign them is the key. So for example, an introductory email, I click assign once I've created it, and I'm going to give it the properties here. One of the properties then that I want to give it is whether it's a sales assistant, which is for contacts or companies, or for opportunities, which is workflow and has stages. If it's a workflow opportunity, it's going to be a workflow email. You want to tell it what stage you want this to be in, right? Stage 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. And then you tell it how many days by typing in the number of days that you want to wait, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, from the launch of that series. Click save, and it becomes part of your activated automation. Here's my workflow. You can see it sorted by title or what have you, 0, 2, 7, 14, 21, 30, and so on. Those are the delay days, meaning that that's the cycle of which I'm going to touch out and reach prospects. Here's my same thing, but this is for contacts and accounts, 7, 14, 21, 30, or however many, whatever intervals you like. So that's how you build them. It's not that hard. Most people need a little extra training from seeing what I just showed you, but give it a go. You can't really break anything. And again, to launch workflow, you either in a contact or a company, you just select them all. Or if you're in that opportunity, like we were back on that, you can just basically launch it based on the stage you're in. Do that one more time, or at least show you how to do it one more time. Each stage has a different, sequence. You click the button, say okay when it says do you want to launch workflow, and it just creates all of the workflow for that opportunity. Awesome. All right, let's keep moving here. Getting a lot of questions. We got a completely sold out crowd here today, by the way. All right. Getting a few questions that are a little into the weeds, how to view emails and such, and not that it's a bad thing, but please know that we'll follow up with all of these chat questions after the webinar, but in order to kind of keep some semblance of time on this webinar, I better keep moving. So we talked about a couple of key things. One of them is using those predefined activities, which I really think are awesome. We talked about using the next step field, and those are two of the real key concepts. And I wanted to mention too that you can enter these from the mobile apps. We have a whole new range of mobile apps. Let me talk about those briefly. If you haven't downloaded the newest mobile app, please feel free to do so. The main redesign of the mobile apps was make them easier to use. Frankly, we've invested a lot in the mobile side. For example, let's say you want to look up a contact and then send them an email, call them, map the directions to their location, or create an appointment. It's just a swipe, tap to call, tap to email, tap to map, tap to create an appointment. You can dictate notes by just going into the contact or opportunity, putting your cursor in there, hitting the mic button, dictate away. It works great. So what my point is it's actually very easy to update those activities from your phone if you have just installed a mobile app. So that's pretty awesome. All right. We are getting into some of the good stuff now, let me tell you. All right. I mentioned briefly that creation of contacts can be done from web forms. Reach out to us if you're interested in doing that. It's really awesome. You can create contacts, companies, and or opportunities from your web forms. You can get email alerts that go out to people. So reach out to us if you need more help on that. Now we're going to get into reporting, and here's the importance of reporting. Even if you're like an individual contributor, you still may want to report or see visualizations of your data so you know what's going on. But you know, maybe you just want to check it out and inspect what you expect, even if it's for yourself. You know, how well are you updating your opportunities? How well are you keeping track of your contacts and accounts? Do you have a lot of missing data? How many contacts did you create? I mean, that's something that salespeople like to know. Managers definitely. How many new accounts were created? Where were they? How many new opportunities were created? And things of that nature. So there's 3 types of reporting in Prophet, and we're gonna go into that. The reporting in Prophet is first of all based on the data, of course, and there's 3 types of data: contacts, company, opportunities by default. That's what we call them. And then within those folders, you're going to have the different lists. Now notice that these columns are just the fields that are in the opportunity, contact, or company. In other words, all of these labels, of which there are many, even all the customizable labels, you can be displayed in your list view. If you don't know how to get into them, it's easy. You just and any user can do this. You just right click, choose columns, and you choose which columns you want from all the available fields in the opportunity. From there, you can drag and drop, move them around, things like that. Just kind of, make them wider or narrower. Just kind of customize it for your liking. In other words, once you've made those changes or added columns, you just say save changes to view, and then those are retained in that view that you're in. But let's just take an example of running a quick report, and maybe we want to run a report on, the top deals in my pipeline worth over $100,000 or something. So what I can do here is I can either individually select, or you just use your keyboard, control click or shift click. Those are little keyboard functions, and you select what you want, or the whole list even, and you just click this little Excel button. And in this case, I'm going to choose, rather than all rows in the view, there's 31 of them, I'm only going to choose those 12 that I selected, which are deals worth over $100,000. So once I've done that, I just click start. I'm in that little Excel button again. From there, it's in every list view, grid view of Prophet. And this creates an Excel report of that data. And of course, then you can do all your Excelimation to it, charts, graphs, email it to somebody, print it, or what have you. All right. And that works with contacts, companies, and opportunities. You can, in addition to sorting, you can filter this type of data. So for example, sorting just changes the order in which they appear, right? But filtering works just like Excel. This is all very intentional. It's like an Excel spreadsheet in Outlook. Is you can go in and use the Excel-like filter to say, I only want to see the deals that are coming in from referrals, for example. All right, that's just a single filter that I've added to my list of prospects there, and it'll filter it right down to only those records that meet that criteria. There they are. Now, from there, An often used function in Prophet is the ability to send an email out to everyone on a certain list. You can do this in Contact Company or Opportunity Manager, and this is intended to just send a personal Outlook email to everyone on that list. You just select the records on the list that you want to send an email to. You right click, you say send group email. This will give you the ability, if you want to edit it, change it to text only. But basically the idea is you want to give it some kind of a salutation. Hi first name, hello first name, just first name, dear Mrs. Smith or whatever. I like hello first name or hi first name. This changes the Outlook importance, by the way. If you make that hi, puts a little red exclamation point when that email goes in the recipient's inbox, kind of handy. But anyway, you just click create email, and then you just create the email that you would normally maybe just type up, which you could do here. But remember, templates, pretty handy in a group email because you could have a whole library of them. All right, I click send. Now to finish that off, I will actually send it because there's one extra step. The first one got sent. If I wanted to, I could go inspect it in my sent items just to make sure there were no typos or formatting errors or something. But I've already done that, let's say, and I just click send again. Now this it takes about a half second or so per email to chomp through them. So that was, it took about 2 seconds to do four of them. So you get the idea. In other words, it's not really practical to try to send out large volumes through this particular utility. But what is really nice about it is when the recipient gets them, they look exactly like, and it is actually a one-on-one email that I sent to them. This is the benefit of doing it through that interface. Again, not for high volume emails or mass emailing. We integrate with MailChimp and Constant Contact and others for that. But I will show you, if you're interested in that, you can just use that export function from a Prophet list and import it into any of those kind of tools. Very handy. Another reason we make it easy to get the data out in Excel. All right. So anyway, I'm talking about different types of reporting. Maybe I want to run a report of all my accounts. Again, sort, filter by certain criteria, like industry might be a good one, right? Well, let's take an example of where I've created a fairly filtered view here. I'm in my company manager, and all of these companies share three things in common. They're all in Hollywood, California, zip code 90210. How I did that is you can do it by either filtering an existing view and then tools, save as, and give it a name, Hollywood accounts, or you can create a new view from scratch. And that's done again right here from the drop down where it says view. You hover over tools. It's kind of hidden unless you know where this is. And then you have these other options: create a new view, manage view, edit current view. What that creates is a filtered list. And if you click on this little icon, it looks kind of like a red pencil in a blue piece of paper. That is the edit view icon, and that's where you can see how you've selected that to create that list or that view. These have to be assigned to me, and they have to be in Hollywood, California, and it's an and filter, which you can do and or, if that makes sense to you. In other words, in this case, both conditions have to be true. They have to be in the city has to equal Hollywood, and the state has to equal California. All right. And that's how you would look at the filter or even change the filtering options from a view. Let's go one step further. Let's say that we want to narrow this down by some other criteria, maybe just those that are existing accounts. That's a function in Prophet, if you can mark them as an account. So now I'm looking at all of the companies in Hollywood, California that are existing accounts. Let's add another filter. Let's get crazy, add another filter, and let's do that they're in the entertainment industry. So now we've got all active, or rather all accounts that are assigned to me that are in Hollywood, California, and they're in the entertainment industry. And now that's where I can, do outreach based on that specific set of criteria. Pretty awesome if you think about it, because it's like Excel. Everyone usually knows how to, click on the filter button. And, there's really no harm in experimenting with this. If you want to clear a filter before you save it, really easy, just clear filter just like you do in Excel. So that's a reporting function. But let's talk about some other reporting functions. And given the schedule and everything, I know I'm getting a lot of chats here and questions. We will get back to you on that, promise. As long as you put, the right email into your registration, we'll be able to get back to you. Now let's go and create some more reports. And this is a pretty traditional style report manager. It's this button right up here in your row of tools, reports, pretty obvious what it is. With Prophet, you'll see that there's these 7 categories of reports and a bunch of reports out of the box. Frankly, they're pretty lame. I think I like to format them. So what I do is format these reports up a little, and I'll show you what they look like. I guess plain, I didn't mean lame. I plain, just to be clear. Anyway, I'm trying to be a little too honest there. But here's a report, pretty basic one. It does one of the basic reports that comes with it, but I've spiffed it up and I'll show you how I did it. But let me first run that report. It's an activity report with the notes in it. By default, you can just choose like default date ranges to run, or I can put a start and an end date in. Up here on the upper left, if you're in a multi-user system, most of you are or will be, you can select who you want to include in that report, in this case, whose activities, filter it by account, by revenue criteria or other criteria. But I'm just going to leave it as a pretty standard report. I'm going to put it in, say, for 15 days. And when I say view report or preview report, this will create an activity report in the form of kind of a document style. And this is one of the more popular reports that people ask about and want to run. And I'm going to show you how I beautified it a little bit here. So you can see here that here's some notes I put in, the phone call note to Anthony. We discussed the quote, and there's the date and the time, and there's our logo, and there's pages and pages of these because I literally use this every single day. Now I can save this in different file types. A little nuance to this I wanted to show you. I could save this as a PDF by default, HTML, but don't worry about that unless you're a web dev doing something with it. PDF, Excel, or RTF is what allows you to then, it creates essentially a Word document out of it. So this is more of a document style report, pretty handy. How I modified it was I selected that report and I went into the designer. This is a little deeper than many of you need to go, but I added an image, like here's how you would do that, like your logo over here on the left. You select picture, drag that over there, maybe make it about the size of your logo in the file. When I click on over on the right where it says image, it'll bring up my computer thing, and there's my logos and stuff. So I could select the logo that I want, and away we go. That one's a little too big, so I would go back and I would put one that's very small in it. There we go. So once you've put these logos and stuff in there, then you just save it. Maybe you want to change the color of that font there. I'll change it to something, let's see, it's Christmas. Let's make it really green then, sea green. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm changing the parameters of that report. I could move things around, edit that report more, but now when I run it, you'll see that it's got those changes to the formatting that I made. Pretty cool. All right, that's the report manager. You can play around with that. You can create your own reports using the wizard. You just choose the type of report that you want. You have to put your department in it, and you have to be part of that department. You give it a name. You choose the columns you want, give it a title, and it'll create kind of a plain Jane report. From there, you can format it further. Not intended to be a deep dive on that tool, but it's there. Play around with it. Can't really hurt anything. All right. Yeah, so now we're going to get into the third type of report, which are the analytics report. And it's got quite a little history to how we've launched and developed and updated this over time. Now current users can activate it through the analytics tab here, which brings up 3 reports. It takes a minute to load, about a minute usually. So I just loaded it before this. And now Prophet by default will have these 3 dashboard reports. There's an activity dashboard, a pipeline dashboard, and kind of a new record creation, new accounts dashboard. And it's all based on the users and the departments and the things that you have set up in your instance of Prophet. But it's very useful stuff like contacts created by job function, or entities created by user. Where were they geographically located? How does your pipeline look? How many deals have you created? What's your conversion ratios, and so on. So this one is launched through Outlook. That had been given us quite a bit of trouble in the last year or so, just changes in Windows and this and that. We finally got that sorted out. Apologize if you had that problem. But one of the questions was we often recommend using Power BI Desktop to run the reports. And one of the reasons for that is that it gives you more flexibility. You can change chart types on the fly. It's just Microsoft Power BI desktop. It's free. Anyone can download it. You do have to point it to your Prophet account. We can help you do that. But once you do that, then you can create your own dashboards too. That's the other benefit of it. Whereas if we create these dashboards, we charge you for a custom dashboard fee if we create more for you. So if you learn how to use Microsoft Power BI, which is what that's built on, gives you more capability, more flexibility, and you can run it off your desktop, not necessarily through Outlook, and you can publish them in browsers and even onto your mobile devices. So a lot of our folks use and recommend the desktop version of Microsoft Power BI. But it's all working good these days. It should be you should be able to access it. If it's turned off or something, just let us know. And here shortly I'll be posting some information on how to contact us and all of that stuff. I do have a few minutes to make sure I'm covering all my topics here and see if I can catch one or two more questions. You guys have been awesome. Thank you for all your questions and comments. It's been very helpful for me as well. We didn't really get too much into importing data, and so I wanted to show you briefly about that. It's the third way that you can get data into Prophet is importing. There's an import tool. First, you have to get your data formatted into a good, clean Excel sheet, and I'll just go into one of my Excel sheets to show you that. And it's not really all that complicated, but the main thing is you got to get your data organized in the three types: contact, company, and opportunity data. Contact data should have name or first and last name. And by the way, if you don't know how to, if they're combined and you need to split them, that's just an Excel function you can look up, or we can show you how to do. Just a brief sidebar as well, because we're talking about training and such. There's a lot of resources which I'll post here, but I'm just going to show you some examples here. I'm sidebarring a little because I just thought of this as a good thing for you guys to all see, is that these webinars are all recorded and they're posted on our website, avidian.com. Here's the current one. They become videos after I publish them. I was going to point to this Excel webinar, which is very popular, since we're talking about Excel importing here. Structuring CRM data was a really well-attended good one. And one of the most attended webinars that I've done are these Outlook webinars that's, super popular, how to tame your inbox and such. Anyway, there's a lot of resources on our website. But back to this import. So first and last name, good to separate them. Company name, if they have one. Contact phone. I mean, this basic stuff. Now over here on the right, if you were going to import notes, you have to put them all in a notes field independently. As you see from the Excel file, that contact has that note in it. So that's how you can import notes. In other words, you have to get the notes in the line items. If you're using custom fields like type of contact, you have to use the exact match to what they're called in Prophet. Just to give you a quick visual on that, what that is that anytime you have a custom field in Prophet, you have to match it. If it's an opportunity, a contact, company, or what have you, like if you're importing opportunities or companies, they have to have the exact match to your drop-down values if they're a drop-down list, like employee range, company type, whatever it is that you're trying, industry that they're in. These drop-downs have to match exactly in your Excel spreadsheet, or it'll error out when you're importing. But anyway, how you create an import then is you get your Excel data formatted. The last step I like to recommend is convert it all to text. Select everything, go up here and just choose text. That way it takes out any HTML or weird formatting. Just choose text right there. Turn it all into text, save it. Got to close it before you import data. And we're going to be wrapping up here in a minute. This is a deeper subject a lot of times, but the basic idea is that you don't want to try this without adult supervision, by the way. You go tools, or your administrators supervision, let's just call it, easy for me to say. Anyway, they go select import data. This brings up the wizard. We call it the import utility or import wizard. And if you've saved previous mappings, you'll know what that is. If not, don't worry about it. Then you do, what you do is you select the type of data, contact, company, opportunity. These others are to connect data types together. Contact data is really pretty simple. You click browse, you locate the file that you want to import. You'll see that you can add it to your list, but first you want to select the worksheet that you want to import, contacts in this case. All right, and now I've added that to my import session. The next step is to map the fields, which means we're going to match them. You can auto map to get anything that's mapped exactly, and then you drag and drop the Excel column names, which are on the left, to what they're called in Prophet. Email address just goes over to email, for example. Contact phone, business phone. Contact address, and so on. Contact city to city, and that's how you map the fields. That will make sure they go to the correct places in Prophet. Then there's some dedupe options. I recommend generally just leaving it as a default merge data because that has business logic built into it to prevent dupes. And then there is finally, you can also use, although you don't need this for imports, you can use this to mass update certain fields in Prophet. Like maybe you just want to kind of do a semi batch integrations or batch update of, say, customer sales up year to date or month to date or something. You can just do that and select, the field that you want to update. That's a quick run through on importing data. Again, you guys have been great. I wanted to keep this to an hour. Thanks for all the questions and comments. I really appreciate it. I'm going to post my some contact and resource information here on screen for a moment or two. And I just wanted to point out that if you're an existing client, feel free to call us, 1-8555-Avidian. There's the actual number, customer success at avidian.com. I also am always willing to help anyone, client or prospect or whomever. But these two URLs, which again, they'll be in the recording, but if you just go to avidian.com, webinars or CRM Beginner's Guide, you can find them. I'll post this for a minute. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. I've really enjoyed it. Have a safe and happy rest of your day. And we look forward to being in touch and having many years of great value that we can add to your organization with Prophet. Thanks again.